if you're a fan of Ben Affleck, you're probably not going to want to watch this video because I'm going to slam him. Now, the only thing about this video, I feel like it might be a little bit divisive because, and I don't want it to be, but my take on this, I think might upset a few people. And if you disagree with it, comment. I'm always interested in reading the comments because real quick before we get into this, the whole point of this channel is to conversate. To conversate like friends just talking about the people we like or don't like, celebrities and business. So it's fun. I enjoy the comments or responding to the comments, people responding to the comments that I respond to. I read all my comments. So it's fun. So if you've got a different take or you disagree with me or you hate my take, you love my take, comment and talk. Let's conversate. And it's cool. Another thing that I think is cool is I noticed too, someone will comment and then someone else will comment on that comment or comment on a comment that I made and you'll have like 3 or 4 comments on one comment, which I think is really cool. But one of the things that I saw, I just read an article today and I just rolled my eyes because, the headline was the stipulation that Ben has for dating now. Okay, first of all, and I think I took my blood pressure medicine already today, and if I didn't, I probably should, but I think I did. But my blood pressure is going up right now. I can feel it. He's not even divorced yet. They're not even apart. They still got business together, him and J-Lo. What is he talking about dating? And that's not the divisive part. I'll get to the divisive part in a second. And people might disagree with me on that, but it's like, for God's sakes, finish your business first and then move on. That's disrespectful, I think, number one, to yourself. Just do what you need to do and then move on. How about handle your current divorce? Sell the house with J-Lo. Divvy up the business stuff with J-Lo. Whether they have debts together, assets together, divvy that stuff up and then move on. It's also disrespectful to yourself, to himself. You are that shallow that you got to jump right into another relationship. Let's not forget, or he shouldn't forget, he still has children with Jennifer Garner. How about focus on them for a second and forget about getting into another relationship? Now, his stipulation on the next relationship is that person has to be sober. Okay, fair enough. That's his choice. And being that he's had struggles with alcohol, that's fair. That's fair. It's probably not a bad idea. Now, the thing that I think could get divisive here on my take in this is that a couple things. Number one is that, he struggled with alcohol for a long time, as a lot of people do, a lot of us do. And even if you don't struggle with it long term, there's probably been a time where you may have struggled with something, or I have struggled with something, or everyone has their issues, right? And anyone who says they don't have an issue they're lying to you. Okay, everybody's got issues. We all have issues, and that's okay. That's part of life. That's part of being human. That's part of just being normal. So that's okay. Now, I don't like that he, number one, blamed his alcohol use when he was married to Jennifer Garner. Now, I'm no fan of Jennifer Garner, but to blame her for your escalating alcohol abuse is just irresponsible and stupid. Okay, because number one, he's had issues pretty much since he's been on the scene in Hollywood, which has been 25 years at least, give or take a little bit. And again, that's okay. That's his stuff. That's his issues. But to turn around and say when you were married to Jennifer Garner because it was getting stressful that you started drinking more and it started getting out of hand is just ridiculous. But here's the divisive part. And the thing that bugs me is that when someone has an issue, they want to put it on everyone else for everyone else to, assuming everyone else has that issue. For example, I've gone to a wedding before for a close friend of mine who had major issues with alcohol. And I commend him because he ended up stopping drinking completely. And I think that was really cool. And he met his wife in rehab. And so they both are sober. I haven't talked to him in quite a few years, but I would assume probably to this day still, he's probably still sober. And I think that's excellent. But for their wedding, they have a dry wedding, no bar. Now, typically you go to a wedding, typical weddings, and I know different religions and different cultures don't have alcohol, but most weddings I go to have alcohol. And they didn't have alcohol because they were both out of rehab. And I was okay. I mean, I respected it. I respected their decision, and that's fine. It was a sober wedding, and I was probably better off that way anyways. But most people go to a wedding because usually, I mean, for me, I might go to a wedding, once every 2 years. Maybe, give or take a little bit. Sometimes you'll have a year where you go to 2 or 3, and then you might have a time where it might be 2 or 3 years where you don't have to go to a wedding. But typically, I would say you probably go to a wedding once every other year. You got a wedding to go to, and typically most people look at going to a wedding as like, okay, it's a night out. If you're married and you have kids, or you have kids, you know what I'm talking about. You don't ever get to go out. I know I've got 4 kids. I don't ever go out. We don't do anything. So when we have a wedding to go to, the first thing I think of is, okay, we're going to get a babysitter for the kids, and we're going to get a couple hours to ourselves, and it will only be a couple hours. We have a couple drinks. We get to go have dinner. We get to dance a little bit, and it's like our night out. Okay, and that's cool. So that kind of bugs me when because, like, for example, Ben Affleck, if he's got an issue with alcohol. Now, everybody, number one, everyone else is supposed to have that issue too. And number two, it's like he's blaming everybody else for his issues. And again, I don't have a problem. If he's got issues, and especially if he recognizes it, that's actually pretty cool. That's actually pretty, I can respect when people can recognize that they have issues. But the way he's talking, it's almost like even like blaming J-Lo. Because obviously we know J-Lo's not sober, but she does have issues with it, okay? So there's no reason she has to be sober. So, but the implication is that, she's to blame for even their divorce, their fallout. Because obviously, she, promotes a alcohol brand. She drinks, all over her posts. She's always, drinking and that's fine because it works for her. But for Ben to assume that everyone else should, give up alcohol because he's got an issue is absolutely ridiculous. And that's again, just when you think the guy has seen some daylight and he's thinking clearly, he just goes backwards and makes it everything about himself. And I think that's one of the things that drives me crazy about him, is that he's just so self-centered, and I hate people like that. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm a pretty mild person. Like, I can get along with anybody. Most people I can get along with, even people that different personalities, different types of people. I can get along with just about everybody. The type of people that I cannot stand is the people who are hugely selfish, where they just think about themselves and that's it. Nothing else matters. There's never any compromise. And he is just one of those people where it's all about him, whatever his problems are, whatever his issues are, whatever anything is, it's just about him. It's not about his kids. It's not about his wife. It's not about anyone else close to him. It's just about him. Let's just worry about Ben. Everyone's worried about Ben.